Okay. Hello and welcome to Plugin Along, a stream dedicated to LOTRO plugins. Last time on Plugin Along, we finished restructuring how festival tokens are stored in the Festival Buddy to data files and in the save files, and put in an upgrade function to convert save files from the old system to the new system. And today we're trying to do the same changes for how festival information itself is stored. They're currently stored with numbers that map to the UI ordering, and we'd like to split that apart so that you could change the UI ordering without affecting save data or misinterpreting save data. Anyway, as always, feel free to jump into chat with your thoughts and questions. And in the meantime, one thing that came up, just so you are aware, the next thing on the agenda is the Spring Festival that is starting on the 7th. Technically, the VIP event boost starts before that, this Thursday, from 10 a.m. until basically Sunday night. And the Spring Festival starts next Tuesday and lasts until April 1st, which is that's the early morning of, so it's really the end of Sunday. So we got 3.5 weeks to enjoy the Spring Festival. So keep that in your brain as to what's coming up next. There's the Forester crafting event also, overlapping that a little bit. If you're into crafting forests, then you should check that out. And we've got some other small things happening in March as well. Looks like skirmish marks and an approximate date for Myrtle Mint to arrive, an XP boost later in the month, and don't forget the April Fool's Chicken Run. They're bringing it back this year. It was pretty successful last year, and I think they solved a lot of the problems that they were concerned about. Awesome. So that's your March event schedule. That is, of course, at LOTRO.com. There's a LOTRO public event schedule page that just gets updated each year. So popped a link there into chat for those who want it. Okay. Get rid of that. So we're camping out here in the greenhouse outside Thorin's Hall. Well, at Thorin's Hall, perhaps. What do we call it? Thorin's Gate. Yes, outside Thorin's Hall. I forget which one's which sometimes. And we're just going to be looking at the Festival Buddy plugin. So let's go ahead and just pull that up in case you're not familiar with it. Festival Buddy 2, something I took over maintenance of after Galahad? No. Yeah, Galahad, after Galahad stopped doing active management. And so I'm just trying to make some things a little bit easier to deal with. For instance, up until now, it has not been possible to reorder the list of festivals in the UI. It's just the order that they got added to the plugin, and I'd like to be able to change that. So we're doing some under-the-covers work here between festivals to support that. If you haven't seen it, for instance, Spring Festival, it provides contextual help for a lot of the quests you'll find at Spring, hopefully making sense of them. So for a Fistful of Flowers, it gives a little bit of information. Collect flowers, where they can be found, sort of their color coding, and yeah, what to do. Misplaced Companions. Oh yeah, Spring's where we introduced the secondary window for maps. And we can see here the Misplaced Companions map the paths of each of the elves as they traverse unsuccessfully the hedge maze. For those who are using this, don't forget there are options for the hedge maze in the options menu. The options for that are the map up, which direction is up for the maps. Currently this one is north, but if you're used to one of the online maps that has up as east, you might want to change that. There's even some neat ones that have, I think, it as west or south. You can also just have it random if you don't want to get tied down to any particular orientation. Right ahead it says, are the options amazing? I'd like to think so. But we're going to go ahead and have... oh man. I used the east as up map for so many years that we'll see what I actually use this spring. But it's all an option there. Okay. Cool. So that is coming up. And it looks like Yeah. Okay. We've got a lot of spring support in here. Lord Zach asks, how do I award someone else in chat lots of rewards for an awesome message? I don't know. I don't really understand Twitch. Lord Zach did not say that. I'm sure it was just a typo, though. Okay, so let's take a look at where we are source code-wise. Where we left off last week was we had committed a whole bunch of changes that we had made, including the starting order for things in the UI. That's the current ordering. I don't even know if that table needs to be there, but it was something we committed last time. We also did a lot of stuff breaking apart the Lang tokens because they also had that same problem where the order they show up in the UI and the order they're stored in the data files was tied together, and the order that you reference them in the save file is all one big mess. And so that's kind of been broken apart as well. Kolovich says, okay, I'm sold. I no longer need to have the maze map up on my second monitor. One of the nice things about the maze map built into Festival Buddy, though I can't easily demonstrate it from within the greenhouse, is that, let's go ahead and pull one of these up, Laugh at the Lost. If you are somewhere within the confines of this map and you do a /LOC command, I personally have my /LOC bound on the servers that I play on, at least, in this spot 61, which is right next to my subscriber town services, right there. Oh, it is bound. Cool. And that gets bound to /LOC usually. So I would do /shortcut space 61 space LOC. And as we can see, that plops that shortcut here. And now whenever I use that button, that just activates /LOC for me. Your mileage may vary on whether that's useful, but anytime you do execute a /LOC, Festival Buddy can pay attention to that and put your location and orientation on the hedge maze map. And so you can see precisely where you are in the maze, and that can be very helpful for orienting yourself, especially after you drink a dire beer, you get teleported to a random spot, and you're like, well, I might be here, or I might be here. Like, which side of the map am I on? But Mel says, I needed this so bad during the Harvest Math Festival. Yeah, Harvest Math support was challenging. I don't really think it's all the way there. But for Harvest Math, we do have Tangled Corn maps, but the problem is, of course, that which day's map it is a little bit different for each server. And so we had to come up with a way to do that. And so there is a way to manage that, where you go in and you identify which of the maps you are in. And so based off of, you walk in, you take a look left, you take a look right, and based on what you see, and in fact, we should probably highlight some of these things to identify really what you're looking for. But for instance, if you go in and you see a wall on left and a wall straight, and you turn around, wall on left and wall straight, well, you know it's not number 2, because that needs the wall on the left. It's not number 3. Could be number 4, could be number 5. So you need to turn around and take a look the other direction. And if you just see a long corridor stretching and then it opens to the right, well, it can't be numbers 4 or 5, so it has to be number 1. Once we've set it on a server, it should just rotate where every day it progresses to the next one. After number 5, it loops back to number 1. So once you set it on a server, we can log that down. And for that Harvest Festival, at least, we know which map you are on for that server. But there's that need to identify which map to start. And I don't feel like this is a very intuitive way to do it, but it was the best I had at the time. And I only just got this out at the very end of Harvest Math. So this coming Harvest Math is the first time people are going to be able to use this and maybe give feedback on whether it's at all a usable system or not. So yes, we do say, please identify the current layout by entering the maze and selecting what you see at the first intersection. And then Festival Buddy saves that at the server level, so that if we've already saved it this festival, we don't ask again. But we will ask for each server. Now, if you happen to know what it is because someone posted in World, someone posted on the forums, whatever, you can always just select the number. You don't have to actually go into the maze and take a look. But yeah, that's the best I got. There's no programmatic way to find out, and I think because every server has a different like startup time. How many seconds has it been since this server came online? I have a feeling that's why each server can have different mazes, but I haven't dug into it as much as I should, because that would be neat if we could just programmatically tell based off of, hey, how many seconds has it been since you came online? But so this was sort of a compromise. Like, at least people can programmatically set it. So that's how you set it. And if you come in here and you change it and say, oh no, we're on number 2, then it possibly crashes. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Okay. Come in and say, oh no, it's actually number 3. Then it'll change what we show. And we currently have the map. So that's challenging. So if we go to cheat of the wheat, it'll show you the fast way through that. If you go to challenging wheat, it'll show you the slow way through the maze. And both of these on today's maze, which I just told it was number 3. So this is a part of Festival Buddy. I think it's a downloadable off of LOTRO interface, but if not, it will be after the next release. Okay, so spring. What we're doing as a pre-release for spring isn't even spring related. I just would like to get it out before spring if possible. So we're going to see what's going on here. So in our changes, we have information on what we would like to do today in our to-do file. Well, that's not what I wanted it to be. Let's go on into Festival Buddy 2. Thank you. Well, I don't need the release notes. I need to go to the to-do. Okay, so we are needing to update Festival. And we made some notes on what that would entail at the end of the last stream. What else do we have? Oops. Well, we have a verbose output equals 2. True. I don't even like that that's there necessarily, and I'm not even sure it's being used. So let's actually see. Hey, anyone using this? General functions. Alright, when is general functions being... It's here. So really that's the first place we would see this. Alright, well, if I don't need it in any of these other places, then globals would be a fine place for it. Let's go ahead and move that over. This, I think, no, it was options window. Sure. We're going to put those in the same place so that it's just a single place of unsaved code, and that's fine. Little Redhead asks of the maze map, will it show which tweens are on a bench? It will not. I had a thought about trying to show spawn locations for them. Which one is that? Terrible tweens. I had thought trying to map out the various spawn locations for the tweens, but I did not feel like I had the time to do that, and so I just left it for a future task. Some of the maps online definitely have suggestions for locations for chickens and tweens and dire beers, but I found that they were either incomplete or seemed no longer to be accurate. Usually just incomplete, though. So, which one is the dire beers? Nope, not the green challenge. Disorientation, perhaps. So there are locations for dire beers, but since they're not always there, it's almost nicer just to do a random walk through the maze and take whatever you find. But yeah, I would like to add spawn points for beers for children for chicken. Tweens for chickens. You know, one thing at a time. Okay. So, to do, what are we going to do? So, let's go ahead and take a look at a save file. And what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to unload Festival Buddy, because remember that you don't want to manipulate a save file while the same plugin is open, because when it closes, usually a plugin will overwrite whatever save files it wants to. So you want to make sure whatever plugin you're working with unloaded first. Unless you don't care about the changes you're making, but you probably do. That's why you're making them. And what I'm going to do is come on into LOTRO Plugin Online, plugin data, come into the account, come into the server, and all characters. And we're going to go ahead and restore a file from backup. So, okay, plugin data, and this is going to be a file from before I really started doing this. No, keep going, please. All right, backups. Let's just bring something in from, say, November. Definitely before I was making these changes. Okay, November, Laurelin, all characters, and we're going to go ahead and bring this in. And that's off screen, but it's going to be on screen here shortly. And we can see, just if we do a comparison, you know what? Let's come from a different server that has more data. Treebeard. Okay, so Festival Buddy, care data, and this one. Okay, so we can see that one on the left here is 33 kilobytes and just has a lot more stuff in there. And so it's a better test of whether our update code works. So we're going to go ahead and copy it on over here. And let's take a look at the server settings. I'm pretty sure the server settings aren't going to matter because those don't vary per character. Awesome. Cool. So we have here our character data that is untainted, and we're going to be able to keep restoring from our backup each time we need a fresh version of this. And I highly recommend it. Just have your backup folder, your in-work folder ready to go so you can just copy things back and forth. Because when you're talking file uploads or file upgrades like this, yeah, as soon as you've gone through the upgrade process, ideally your code knows better than to try it again. And so we are changing how we update from version 0 to version 1 to 1.1 or version 2 or whatever. If you're changing how you're doing that, you need to rerun the upgrade process, and therefore we need that fresh file to do it against. So keeping some old save files around is just really nice practice to get into if you have anything more than the most basic save files. And we certainly have that here. So let's go ahead and open up one of these save files, and I'm just going to use Sublime Text. It's a text editor of choice, but I'm just looking at some basic data. Any modern text editor that you have that has source code awareness, language awareness, will give you the ability to do things like collapsing sections. Like that's a 120 line section, 140 line section we don't need to look at right there. Pretty cool. Okay, so what's the thing that we're concerned with? Well, we had tokens, and these tokens were numeric, and that was tied to the order in the UI. So you couldn't change the order in the UI without changing how you were interpreting the tokens in the save file. But what we did last time, let's go ahead and load and unload to process these. What we did last time was we replaced those numerical indices with the name of the token. And so now when we load in the token data, when we're looking for the spring violet value, we just look it up by that instead of by the place spring violet was in the UI. And this means now we can change the ordering of things if we want. And we want to do the same thing with the values for the festivals here. Instead of 1, we want to see spring. Instead of 8, we want to see midsummer, as we can tell from the token name. And that'll make this save file a little bit more readable, but it also means that it's a way to break apart the UI ordering from the save file ordering. Another way would just be to have two separate sets of numerical indices, where in the save file spring is 1, and in the UI spring is 4, and you just deal with it in the logic. But I think that way lies a little bit of madness for me, so instead we're going to do this. We're going to update these numbers in the file to be a string representation of the festival, spring as an example for 1, midsummer for 8, 3 would be harvest math, and then the only place numerical indices will come into play is the order that they show up in the user interface. Yeah. Apparently, Little Red Head says, there's a Kato on the tower behind me. So, Kato is sitting on the tower, just over there. When she sort of sits, she has a very shapely hump on her back. Good job, Kato's spine. Actually, I suspect Casper might be on the couch. Oh, no. He's somewhere else. Well, one of them was on the couch, but I moved a blanket earlier, so maybe he decided it was time to go somewhere else. Okay, so we have some notes from last time. Let's internalize them a little bit, see what we had to say. Look at all uses of festival. You need to be able to translate the festival key to number using the festival UI order table. That's certainly a thing that I wrote. Save file settings.festival in .plugin data and change how it's initialized. Then changing selected festival and the festival contents constants should just work. Okay. Let's take a look then at selected festival. Let's work a little backwards here. When we do a search for selected festival, we see 92 results. Don't have to worry about this to do here. When we look at character saved data, which is what this is, we can see we're indexing using the variable selected festival. Awesome. So if we change from that being a number to a string, then that, as our note said, that should just work. Same thing here, tokens ID, awesome. Selected festival. This is Lang debuffs selected festival. So let's take a note there. Line debuffs needs to have entries, need to change entries in line those from numeric to, well, actually, before I even type that, let's go take a look at line debuffs. Line debuffs, oh, we can see we're actually indexing with these variables. Awesome. So if those variables change, from integers to strings. Okay, line debuffs is indexed by variables like spring. Okay. Zach says, if I get debuff again, I will cry. Well, that'd be very sad. What's funny is that the table is listed as debuffs, but it's really meant to be effect or effect name. It's looking for effects on you that mark your status through festivals. Like when you have looted when you've done bobbing for apples, you get an effect on you that says when you can do the bobbing for apples again. So it's a debuff in sort of that classical sense that it's an effect on your character, but it's not really a debuff in the sense that it means something negative. It's a way of tracking effects that matter for your character for a festival. Same thing, if you are in the Globe Theater in Frostbluff, you have an effect that says you're in the theater. Is it a debuff? I don't know. That's sort of a personal opinion. All right. So barter selected festival, same thing. Barter, we can see these are indexed. Awesome. So let's come in, just make a note of that. Barter also. Okay. Lang festivals also. Nice. Token IDs selected festival. Let's just go take a look. We can see, yes. All right, that's everything from Barter Win. Was it everything in Altwin? I believe so. Barter, yep. Fantastic. Select a festival. If it's equal things, again, we're comparing to other variables. If we change those underlying variables, we'll be good. Lang debuffs, we've already seen that. Done. Setting things equal to stuff. So settings.festival. Yep, need to update settings.festival from number to text. Great. Whoopsie. So we've already seen Lang Festivals is fine. You know what? I'm going to pull this off and put it into a separate buffer here, because I don't need to go back and forth like that. I'm going to just put it up there above my head. Okay. Oh, I see what I was trying to say. So, when the festival dropdown is changed, need to convert UI order to string key, and just pasting in a sample of that. Okay. And then we're saving that off settings.festival. And that is, yep, I already represented it in our to-do notes. Awesome. Okay, fill main win. Fill main win. So function parameters. Fill main win. And that's taking festival and it's indexing into images. We're conflating between the past parameter and selected festival. That's fantastic. Probably not great. That might be a thing to do first. Okay, let's take a look at that. Where do we see fill main win? We call it with selected festival. We call it with selected festival, and in it, we use festival a couple of times, and then we use selected festival a couple of times. That doesn't seem great at all. Now, selected festival is a global, and I'm not a huge fan of globals, but they do serve a purpose. And so, if you want a function like this to work with any sort of a test where you pass it a thing and you see, okay, did it do what I expected it to do, then you need it to pay attention to that parameter. Even if the parameter you're passing in is always that same global variable. On the other hand, if you just are never going to worry about that, then why are we passing in a variable at all? Fill main win, just don't pass in anything, always use selected festival. But if we're passing something in, it would make sense to use it. So what we're going to do here is find those places that are selected festival and go ahead and update those to use the parameter here. Make sure we're still in that. We are. Okay, scrolling on up here. Just make sure we didn't escape out of that function. And we can see everything seems okay there. Global variables. Don't want to deal with those right now. What are you? Change lines. That's fine. Okay. So that was checking in on fill main win. So how is Festival being used? It's going into images, which we haven't checked on yet. So let's check on images. Images, the things we care about are also being indexed that way. Awesome. And it has other things as well. Okay, how else is this used? Festival, laying quests, haven't checked that yet. Okay, we can see we have these as well. Great. Document that. Now, this is one of those things where we could just make the change and hope, cross our fingers. But I don't mind a little bit of preemptive double checking. Quest strings also. Now, is anything besides the festivals in quest string? Let's take a look. Nope. Great. Okay, we're checking if festival equals Hobnanigans. That will just work. And quest strings, awesome. So nothing else in fill main win looks like a problem. No problems. But let's go ahead and save off those changes we made to that function. Switched from using global to local, function parameter for festival. Hello, little one. Let's see, can I rotate this just a little bit? Hey. Hey. Yeah. Hey. Hello, Casper. Yeah, too much? Okay. Alright, well, you're being super cute, so I'll keep it on camera as long as you stay there. Is Kato still in the background? Nope.
I think she went outside.
Now Kato's left. She's out in the contained structure outside. Okay, so I like to go ahead and do my comparisons in an external window just to double check myself. So at the bottom of this window, we can see a line-by-line comparison. And the things that the program thinks are different are in orange. So we can select a festival, went to festival, in both of these cases, nothing else. Select festival to festival, awesome, and same thing. And I really like to do this both to double check that I made the changes I meant to, but also to ensure that I didn't make the changes, didn't do changes I didn't want to. So we're checking both the positive and the negative. Are the changes I intended to do in there, and did anything else slip in as well? Everything looks great there. So switch from using global to global variable to function parameter for festival. Great. So we're going to go ahead and just grab that. So we're going to go back to checking out selected festival stuff. I wish I could have nested searches. And maybe I can. I wish I knew how to do nested searches. Let's put it that way. All right, maze map update festival. That's where we're at now. So let's dig on into maze map festival. We get a selected festival. We use it on quest strings, which we know is good. Nope, keep going. We used it on a comparison to harvest math, and that's it. Looks good. No problems. Great. So that was this one. And these comparisons should be fine. Quick guides. Oh my goodness. How are quick guides? Let's take a look at those. Quick guides, awesome. We're indexing with those. No problems there. That's the wrong key. And he's gone. Okay. Quick guides 2 is good. Okay. Comparison, fill main win. We've already checked that, right? Yeah. You know what? We can outdent those. It's fine. Cool. Okay, set visible. Again, this is a comparison. Quick guides we know is okay. Another comparison. Indexing quest strings, that's fine. Comparison festival number. What on earth is going on with refresh festival? Number? Okay, I'm hoping this is just a overly precise variable name, so we're going to fix that if that's the case. So for that, we want to go ahead and find all uses of refresh festival. Okay, there's my note I just made. We're taking a festival key, and for that, festival key and festival quest key from new quest. That's, man, naming things is hard. Refresh festival settings.festival, and then that's the actual function itself. So, yeah, I think this was an overly specific. And we're going to come on in here and just go ahead and replace that with festival. We've already know that maze.update festival is fine. So where else is this used? We're doing a comparison. We know that's okay. Lang festivals. Yep, we've already checked that. Trigger the item change. Yeah. I think this is something I already pulled out into here. Equals festival. Did the item changed? Yeah, refresh festival. Okay, see, this is in main win. Refresh festival on line 504. And I suppose anywhere else. Okay. Nope, it's not used anywhere else. Great. Okay, so refresh festival. We have the festival key here. Get festival key and quest. That's going into Lang festivals, which is being indexed by these things, so that just will work. Awesome. And that gives the festival key. Okay, that's fine. So, refresh festival, we're passing in festival key, that's fine. We're passing in settings festival, and then in the function festival, I feel like festival is one of those words. You know how if you stare at a word and use it over and over and over, the spelling starts to look wrong? I think festival is hitting that point for me. But we persevere. All right, so we already checked everything here. So refresh festival itself is okay. But we want to go ahead and save off that change that we did there. Renamed overly specific function parameter. Okay, and again, we're just going to do a quick sneak peek. Festival number to festival. Again, same thing. All the changes we want, none of the changes we don't want. Great. So, nope. Wrong keyboard shortcut. Okay, no problems. Okay, so we were looking at Refresh Festival, which was called from main win somewhere. Unfortunately, it didn't actually save off. There we go. Okay, so we were just looking at Refresh Festival. So that comparison is fine, and then we move on. Load quest. We're indexing quests. Great. Quest strings. Awesome. More quest strings. More quest. So many quest strings. Now, why did we not just save off quest strings, select a festival quest key into a local variable for easier access? Uncertain. Sure seems like we should have. Yeah, I don't have an explanation for that one. Okay. We continue. Oops, I lost it. Okay, so each of these quest strings is fine, and we move on. Okay, little one. Laying quests, no problem. Laying debuffs, no problem. This is in character data. So we know after we do the updating of the file that it'll be fine. Because that's going to be in here underneath these cooldowns underneath this festival. Okay, comparison, that's great. Again, in the data file itself, or the data file as loaded into memory. Same thing here. Same thing here. Okay, token UI order. We looked at token IDs, but we didn't look at token ID order. So let's take a look at that. Hey, what's up, little one? You're in petting range, almost. But my goodness, you're kind of cold. Did you just come in from the outside? No, you don't like getting picked up, do you? I'm just going to scratch you a little bit and then release you. Okay. There you go. Hey, do you want a treat as a reward for putting up with my shenanigans? There you go. Trying to convince her to try out this new bed. You gotta jump in it. Oh, I guess you can reach it from the floor. Good job. Pamela, the voice of an angel. Yeah, that's the voice of a cat who, through no fault of her own, was never really socialized, as far as we can tell, with the whole being picked up thing. So it's not her favorite activity. And you just pull the bed over onto you. Good job. I'm sure that's going to convince you to try that bed. When the redhead says, outsmarted for treats by cat. You know what? She's interacting with the bed more just pulling treats off it than she has in the last month, so whatever. Okay, token UI order. Token UI order, we can see it's also indexed correctly. That is great, and so we're going to go ahead and document that here. Yes, as the redhead says, thumbs up for her interacting with the cat bag. That is fine. Okay, so all that's good. We already had token IDs. Excuse me. Back to the data file for tokens. We've already had cooldowns. Now this is the tokens part. Great. More data file, more data file. And that's all for main win. And that's actually really promising because if the main window didn't have anything else that made us go, huh? Okay. Maze Map Update Festival. Great. We've already checked that. Same thing here. Quest strings. We know that's good. Also quest strings. Maze Map Update Festival. Yep. We're in Maze Map, so that makes sense. Indexing quest strings a couple of times. Doing a comparison. All that's great. All right. quick guide window, and this is the final one. So if this works for us, we are good. Quick guide win load festivals. Let's go ahead and check or mark this as being needed to check. We can actually see that this function isn't expecting to receive a parameter because it's just using selected festival. So this is actually an error that's even being passed. Awesome. One less thing to worry about. Okay, quick guides. We've already checked quick guides as indexed. Fine. Quick guide chain lookup. Fantastic. Ugh. Okay, so what we would like to see is that working. We can see we're doing the indexing correctly here. While we're here, let's see if we can find anything else that's might be a problem. So we can see Yule is being used extensively here. Quick guide change is indexing by Yule. Lookup, guide, great. Let's check the next one, which is Midsummer. Midsummer, and Midsummer. Awesome. And next one is in the Ale Association. Okay, so we can be content that those three are also doing okay. All right, quick guide quest to use. Fantastic. We can see these are also being indexed by here. But I think that might get persisted out somewhere. Okay, I'm not seeing it right away, so we're going to make a note here. Quick guide quest to use. Is this serialized somewhere? The redhead says, Kato has a cat bed that is partially on her desk and partially on something next to her desk, so we're hoping to get something equivalent near my desk. And that's true, though I'm not trying very hard, because right now it's just on a chair over there, which is not the most stable of things, as we saw when she pulled it over onto her head. Okay, quick guide window. Quick guides to use, that's in settings. That might actually be under character settings. So let's come on into Skillbox and take a look at that. Yes, okay, quick guides to use. This needs to be updated here as well. Oof. Yeah, that is listed as the character specific one. And so, see character specific save file. Okay. Well, we can ignore it for right now. Just being aware that we'll need to do that conversion. Okay. Let's keep going. Quick guide credits. Yes, I believe that was also listed. Yep, that's at the very top of here. Midsummer, awesome. In the Ale Association. Great. Okay, quick guide itself, more quick guide. I know you don't know about it, but it's there. Quick guide indices, quick guide to use. Again, that's the settings one that we're going to look at. Line quest is good. Quick guide progress. I believe that was also called out. Yep, quick guide progress is also there. So we're also going to need to update that as well. What is the objective table? Let's go ahead and document that as a function, double check as well. quick guide chains, great. Okay, let's circle back around to these two functions that are receiving a festival, or are they? That's the one we were getting rid of. That one no longer does that. Again, it might be its own problem that doesn't take a festival as a parameter, that it instead looks at that global value, but it's at least pretty consistent. Okay, what's going on here? We are adding, objective strings, quest strings. Okay, so we're taking in tables that are themselves indexed by those variables. Awesome. No problems. Cool. So what have we done? We've kind of convinced ourselves that for every instance of selected festivals, except for a couple that are looking at quick guide progress or quick guide quest to use, in general, we can swap out the meaning of that from an integer to a string by updating a couple of these variables. So if we come in here and figure out where is anniversary, great. So if we go ahead and in the code, we update this to be spring, summer, harvest math, Yule. And actually, before we do this, we should save this off because we do need these somewhere. We need a historical record of what these indices were. So prior save formats, we had the same thing. We had our tokens. So we could do the same thing. We could do a new file, and this was festivals v10 to v11. And I gotta say, at this point, it really feels like we should maybe be calling this version 1 to version 2, because this is a pretty large change. Maybe call the new format version 2.0, since this is more than a minor change. Yeah. Indeed. Okay, so in here, used to be prior to this update, the festival number also controlled the UI display order. Just a little note. Cool. So, is there anything else? Old, sure, yes. So old, whatever we're going to call this. So old festival, sure, data. Now, right here, I see a problem because we see old festival. Like, what does old even mean? That's not very specific. We could be nicer to ourselves. So, if we call it v10 festival token data, we'll probably have a better time of it. Awesome. It doesn't like the lowercase name. Would you like that? Okay. This is a Lua-ism that I haven't really gotten a hold of, is that they want globals to start with a capital letter, and locals to not. And that way you can distinguish, when looking at them, what they're defined as. Which is kind of a holdover from days when you couldn't just hover over it to see is this a local or a global, but it still has its uses. Okay. And so, instead of old festival data, we want to do the same thing, v10 festival data. Okay, let's go ahead and make some commits. Removed, unused, unspecified function parameter. So, we're going to go ahead and commit that. Updated upgrade, variable upgrade name to be more specific. Cool. So that's those. And that is that. Well, that's funny. I think I've updated the name in the file. Well, that wasn't specifically what I wanted to do. Nope, I just mistyped it. Awesome. Okay, so we have update all that. Cool. Don't need that. Awesome. Okay, so we are ready for the festivals. And just like we have a function here, update tokens, we want to go ahead and have update festivals from V0 to V11. And we really need two separate functions, because we know this is a problem both for the character-specific file, which has character guide progress, and the quick guides to use, both indexed in this improper way, and the server-specific file in which we're indexing through each of those. So we want to go ahead and lift this, update festivals from version 1 to version 0 to version 1. And we want something similar, update, and then what do we even call this thing? Update character specific data from V10 to V11. Sure, why not? What we would like to know is, what does this look like when it comes out of the file? So festival buddy underscore settings, festival buddy underscore settings. Let's take a look at you. Cool. So we're loading that into settings. All right, and this other one would be server settings, care data. Oh, man, I hate that name. Update. All right, festival buddy settings. And I'm just going to do that without the underscore to make it clear it's a single thing. And the other one, nope, wrong window, is going to be the Festival Buddy care data. Stop going to that window. Okay. So we have the cares table, and we have settings, probably. Do we think there's something more specific that we can do? Oh, also, I am done with this documentation. And here as well. Nope, don't need it. Okay, so in here, yeah, everything with the quick guides left to use, we have the quick guide progress. Those are both at the root level. So yeah, we're going to take in that settings document. That's fine. Yeah, so we have settings, and here's the care data, but we'll actually be taking in the cares table. Does that sound right? Yeah, it sounds right. Yeah, because we're going to want to iterate through each of the characters there, and that is fine. Okay, so we know that for each character underneath them is one entry per festival. And one does wonder if it's possible to redo the key here. But we're iterating through the table, so it's really unhealthy to mutate the table while you're doing that. So we'll just follow our guide here in the tokens for how to do this. In fact, I'm just going to lift the whole thing. So for each player's festival data, so we're doing player name in the table. In fact, let's pull this over here so we can track what we're working with. So for each player name festival tables, we have Wenda and we have everything in Wenda. Awesome. For each festival number. And this is where we kind of have to make a decision of where do we do this in the upgrade process, because we've already written code that assumes it's a festival number. Whereas we could have maybe not done that. But since you're only running this once, and ideally against a fairly low number of characters, no more than 100 per server, I think it really doesn't matter too much. I guess we'll see. Okay. So there might be some refactoring these later on, as there might be some duplicated code. We can see we're iterating through this again. We're copying things off again. We probably could do this in kind of one large, more complicated procedure instead of just like, okay, change this little thing, change this little thing, change this little thing. We'll see. All right, so for festival number, festival data, we want to do something else. We're actually going up one level. We're not going through. So fix up the festival table keys. And so we're going to, let's see. Let's go ahead and expand this. So for festival number, festival data in there. Yeah, okay. Local new festival equals that. And then this stuff in here is what we need. So we're going to hoist that on out, hoist this out, and then update it. So no longer going to need this. Local festival name equals, and this is where we need this information. And we actually need it the other way. We needed to transform this just like we did with the token data. And for a simple transform like that, we're just going to pop into Sublime Text. And for each one of these things, I want to go ahead and let's kill that end semicolon. Let's get the text isolated and in quotes and get those indices back. And that'll look just like this. Oh, I do want those semicolons back, actually. Okay, so we have this, and we really want it to look like that. Awesome. So, at this point, we can say the festival name equals the festival data of that festival number. And we no longer need the token number. We're going up one level. And new festivals, festival name equals festival data. Cool. And then finally, festivals table we need to update, I think, cars table player name dot just equals new festivals. I think that is all we need, because the only thing in here is the table. And that should take care of dropping all the old data, the keys and values out. Best way to do is to test it, though. And this is probably going to break a thing or two when we do it. However, let's go ahead and give it a try. First, let's figure out where this other function is being called. It's being called in main. Awesome. And we want to do something very similar. And that's going to be this other file. So we're going to go ahead and import that as well. And then this function here. Okay, so how do we tell if this works? Well, we're going to do a couple things. Make sure the plugin is unloaded. It is. And then in all characters, again, we're going to bring that old file in. And this is the char data. Copy that in. Okay, so we can see the tokens haven't been updated either. And this is where we go ahead and try to load it and see what happens. And more importantly, try to unload it and see what happens. Awesome. So, what do we see? We see that Wenda now has Spring, Yule, Summer, Midsummer, Hobnanigans, Harvest Math, Farmer's Fair, Anniversary, and that's it. I was actually expecting more, like a 1 in there, because I was expecting you still to have a mix. Oh, of course, I'm not Wenda. Skildvoct, on the other hand, has Harvest Math, Summer, Spring, 1, 3, 2. Okay, so we can see the those values were loaded, weren't recognized for what they were supposed to be because the code hasn't been updated yet. And so default values for each of the numerical-based festivals got loaded in as well. But we can see for any character that wasn't Skildvoct, that was it. It got converted over correctly, which is awesome. And so we can see under Spring, our tokens are Spring Ray, Spring whatever. Awesome. That all looks super good. Not in chat says, I wish my primate brain could do stuff like this. Really fascinating to watch. This is, if I appear competent or confident in my technique, it is only because I have a long time of struggling with code behind me. And that helps a little bit. Also, good job, Skillbox. Way to get to level 95. Yeah, this is easier now than it was 10 years ago, and I hope it'll be easier still in another 10 years. Not says, you do a great job explaining things. Well, thank you. I hope there is something to be learned here besides how our past mistakes come back to haunt us sometimes. Which is, it's a lesson that never gets old, but it's not the only lesson, I hope. Okay, so we have progress here, and while we are here, we would love to see this settings file also get updated, because we're going to need that. So let me go ahead and be ready to grab an updated version of that. That one comes from the specific character. Okay. And it does have a version, doesn't it? Version. It does. Okay. So I'm prepared to replace that as well. That was very nice, Pamela. Pamela says, I glaze over slightly less when people start talking about code because of before in a stream. Thank you. I'm curious, does that happen a lot in your life? Like, is this a daily threat? Oh, code! Okay. So we have the two files that we care about here. In festivals, we have successfully updated the character data, and again, I hate this name for this file, but I think it will never change because any installation out there will already have this on every server. But it's the data for characters, and it really should have been chars data or characters data in the plural, because we also have the character data, which is in a different file. Because of course it is. That's okay. But Melissa says yes, so much, so very much. Well, that's an exciting life you lead. Code! Little Redhead also gets some of this sometimes. But my day job isn't necessarily so exciting that I dump a bunch of it on her all the time, though. Okay, so we wanted the same thing. We think we are going to get past a settings file that has been loaded from a file that looks like this. And so in that settings, we want to iterate through quick guide quests to use and quick guide progress, and update each of these. This is done only when you log in with a specific character. And so what I expect to see after we do this code is the same thing that we saw before, where this data is successfully transformed, and then we just populate in with the numerical indices, and maybe they'll be empty or the default values. But we're going to see some doubled up data until we update our code on how it's doing things. So we need to do two loops. We need to update quick guide quests to use, update the festival indices and quick guide to use to be strings. And then we need to do the same thing with quick guide progress. So update the numeric festival indices in quick guide progress to be strings. Now, in theory, we could just use this one loop to do them both, because it should have the same keys in both. We can see 984, 984. In practice, it's always possible there could be some sort of weird disconnect. I wouldn't think so. In practice, that shouldn't happen either. But because it is technically possible, we're going to probably loop through one, fix it, loop through the other, fix that. But we could do a single loop and probably be okay. Kolovich says, my business analyst hates when I show her code. You know, it's like any foreign language, right? Like, if you are used to seeing stuff like this, and you look at it, you move beyond just there are characters on the screen, and you start interpreting the semantics of it. Oh, we have a function, we have a for loop, we have a nested for loop. Interesting. We're doing n squared stuff here. Okay, we can start picking apart the meaning behind it, and we don't get tripped up on what is this word, which is unfortunately a lot of what happens when I'm trying to read Dutch text out of the newspaper, and it's just what does this word mean? And I get stuck on the syntax, and I don't even get to the semantics necessarily. Or I don't even get to the syntax of it because I don't even understand the word at all. So yeah, I totally get it. If this isn't your fort, if this isn't your cup of tea, and you don't have a lot of practice with code, yeah, it's not very helpful to look at code. Just like it's not very helpful for me to look at German because I don't know German. One of the advantages of comments, not only for future selves who have forgotten what the code was even trying to do, is that it does allow a layperson to understand maybe what the code is trying to do, even though it's not obvious how it's accomplishing the thing. So if you happen to know what comments are and that they exist in Lua and that they're usually preceded by dash dash, you might just train your eye, especially with syntax highlighting like this, where comments are called out in green. You might train your eye to only look at the green stuff and just give the rest of it a miss because it's not very helpful. So you might see, oh, we're trying to update some indices. I don't know what that is or why that is, but I understand what your goal is, or at least I know what your goal is. Maybe I don't understand your goal. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and do this. So we're going to go ahead and start writing a loop. What do we expect? We expect key value pairs. So we expect setting name and setting table in pairs of our settings. So this is a plural settings, and each one of these is a setting in this nomenclature. And we're going to go ahead and loop through that. And what we really want is to, same thing, we're going to do local new setting equals a new table, because we don't want to change an existing table while we're iterating through it. We get bad results, as we wasted an hour a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, rediscovering for ourselves. And, I should know better than to mutate a table while I'm iterating through it, but, you forget these things. It's like going through the index of a book, though. Like, if you're going through an index of your book and you're looking at words in the pages at the same time that someone else is making changes to that index, you get weird results. Okay, so we have a local new setting, and for festival number, festival data, I think we could call it that. Yeah, in pairs of setting table. Oh, no, we only actually care about two of these, don't we? We do not need... Okay, so settings, we don't need to iterate through everything. What am I thinking? Dot this. Okay, so new quick guides to use is this. Okay, so in here we had the festival number and the festival data. We want to go ahead and get that festival name, and then new quick guides to use, festival name equals this festival data. Awesome. And then we can say settings.quickguides to use equals new quick guides to use. So we populated our new table with all the stuff from the other, but with updated keys, and then we slide this in. That's the goal. And we actually want to do something very similar for the other table. So let's go ahead and update this. This is actually going to be new quick guide progress for just those three. And we're going to go ahead and iterate through that. So festival number, festival data, and quick guide progress. Festival name, get that. New quick guide progress equals the data, and we swap it in. Okay. It's so similar that, again, it makes you think, man, this is really boilerplate code, and it feels like we could centralize the code and just have a single function that we're calling. And I think that's probably true, but let's start with making sure it works. So what we're going to go ahead and do is pull up a folder for each of these two locations. So we have all characters, and we have Schildwacht. And what we want to do, we can see the plugin is unloaded. And so I'm going to copy in to all characters, the old one. And I'm going to copy in the settings from a different Schildwacht, but same basic idea. Okay. So what we can see here is we have still numeric indices in the settings. Oh, and we have quick guide progress and some numerical indices here. Apparently, Schildwacht had made progress on 8, which I think is midsummer. Awesome. It's good to have practical data to test with. Okay. And Wenda is still using numerical indices for all of this. So what we want to do is hit the load. Awesome. Hit unload. Great. And go check out the results. Now, what we saw before is that Schildwacht, the character who's currently loaded, had newly populated data, but that all of the other old data got brought over correctly. And that looks like that's the case here as well. Let's take a look at the settings file. Okay, quick guide to use 984. I never called this function, did I? We should do that. Okay, so we were doing in main, we called that, and we also want to do prior save formats, update that with something. Now, ideally, we have access to the settings. Oh, that's, oh, yeah, okay. We actually want to do this somewhere else. Okay, so that's all in the character stuff. What we want to do is replicate some of this in the load settings file character. Great. And that's happening here. Just like down here, we were in a section. If the version is 1, we're going to 1.0. And ideally, we see that same thing. If the settings equals 1, we're going to 1.0. I think traditionally I put the version bump as the very last thing. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and pull that on down. Okay. So here we're doing the import. And again, that just imports if it hasn't already been imported. Maybe. That's actually a really good question. If that's going to cause us problems, we'll see. But since we're importing into a global, well, I think it's fine. I think it's probably fine. We'll see. And then we go ahead and call that function. Oops, we only wanted to call it on settings. Okay, because this is the function that is loading settings. Awesome. So we've unloaded Festival Buddy. Let's go ahead and restore these files to their previous unupdated versions and give it another try. So we'll go ahead and load. That didn't work. Attempt to index field, options win, 299. Fantastic. Let's come on over to options win. And take a look at 299. Yeah, okay. So what we're seeing here is the code is expecting that numerical indices. And unlike some of the other save file stuff, we lack any sort of default population. We just kind of assume it's there. So here's where we want to go ahead and maybe say it's time to update these Boy, I'm going to start typing and making mistakes, aren't I? Let's go ahead and figure out what we're going to call these things. That's probably good. Okay, so these variables now, instead of numerical indices, we have spring, summer, harvest, mass, Yule, and that's what we're expecting to see in these files once the update has happened. So let's try it again. Nope. Table indexes, null. All right. Here, let's pull this on out. Okay, so we try loading this, and we can see we have an error message. I'm going to bring that on down here. That's too low. Okay. And that's happening in the update file that we just wrote. So that's not great. Let's dig into that a little bit. Okay, that's festivals. And that is line 36. Okay, so it's saying table index is nil. Okay, I don't understand why it's saying that. So let's go ahead and just do some debug. Turbine, sorry, forgot it for a moment how to do a writeline. Turbine.shell.writeline. And then I just want to say, what the heck did we just get? So we have festival number, and we'll dump the festival number, and festival data. And we'll just dump festival data as well. Okay, so we can see right before that crashed, we see table index is nil, and that was for festival number midsummer. Wait a sec. Festival number. Why would it say midsummer? Has it already... Where are we? Hang on. Where are we? We are in... We're trying to update settings. We're in quick guides to use. Right, festival name. Festival number, festival name. And the festival data, why not? Actually, I may give a miss on that festival data. for a moment. Okay. It's making the output a little bit of a chatter. Okay, so we can see Festival 8, Festival name Midsummer, and then we get Festival number. Why would we do that? Okay, so we take festival name. What do we do with it? We say new guides of that equals this. And eventually we assign that to this. I am confused. Why? Updating table. And let's dump that out. Okay, so we can see updating table 8, this stuff, Midsummer, this stuff, Yule, this stuff, Isla, this stuff. I must be looking in the wrong location. Hang on. Where is this function getting called? Just these two places. I do not understand what I'm seeing. Let's go ahead and replace that settings file just in case. It shouldn't be contaminated because how could it be? But let's go ahead and load this and get some very weird things. Okay, is this getting populated in some manner? We're doing the, oh my goodness, we're doing the merge default into table first. I don't like that at all. Okay. So what we need to do is, if this is happening after the merge default, and that's probably fine, we need this function needs to assume that there'll be some default populated stuff, and we should only deal with things that exist in that table. And we were not doing that. Okay. So what are we talking about? If festival name is nil, then we just need to stop doing it because we can't. So if festival name, then this needs to be converted. And we need to do the same thing down here. If festival name, then end. Now, we actually need to keep the old data otherwise. So new quick guides to use festival number, and there the naming falls down. Oops. Let's go ahead and change that to festival number to festival index. Okay. Now, we can see these functions or this chunk of code is so similar that we will almost certainly extract it out into a function that does the core thing here. And then we'll just say this equals update whatever, and then all of this will be the same function. And that way a change to one doesn't, automatically gets applied to both sections of code instead of, oops, I made a change here but not here, and that gets us into trouble. But let's see if it actually works first. So what we want to do is try to load. Okay, still didn't work. Table index is nil. That is a little unexpected. 38. Did we actually save? I don't know. Let's go ahead and restore, again, new versions of these files, or should I say old versions of these files. Okay. Try to load, and we can see, oh, okay, it's just main. Something in main is unhappy. Main 227. Yeah, that was a concern. Is you can't import the same file twice, but when we did the import, I think maybe it wasn't available over here. So what we'd like to do is break this into the two parts, probably. Wait, what was that error? Oh, tokens. No, 227. Of course, I hoisted that, but we do actually need this. No, wait, do we? Hang on. All right, where is this? Okay, that is very strange. 227, attempt to index null. But what? Is this being imported somewhere else? And is that causing me problems? Okay, we're in character data here. So tokens. Okay, so data category, tokens. Okay, what is festivals table? Amusingly, I think they used to be using festival names in the file and probably got away from that from a localization issue. But so festivals table, I think, is this thing that contains that. So festival ID, data category, sure. So festival ID, and then we're going through tokens, so that's K. That's very strange. Turbine dot shell dot right line. What's going on here? So just to be sure, what we're going to do is first dump out that token data and make sure that looks sane. And we can see, yes, that does look sane. So that's fine. Then we're going to go ahead and dump out turbine.shell.writeLine. We're going to dump out festival ID. And K. And I'm wrapping these in dump calls because if it is nil or a Boolean value, then Lua just does not like concatenating it together in a string like this. But the result of dump will be a string of some kind. So it'll say nil if it's nil, it'll format the Boolean as a string, that kind of thing. So you avoid exceptions being thrown on your debug statements if you just wrap questionable things in a dump statement. Dump is a custom function that you'll see in a lot of plugins. Okay, so we want to come in here, and we can see festival ID is 1, K is 1. Fantastic. Oh, no. Of course. Yeah, that'll do it. So these things were foolishly also using those global variables. And we just can't do that anymore because these don't exist anymore. So we need to pull those out. So these are static and do not use those updated global variables. I should have thought about that. But that is in the past. We're going to go ahead and fix this for the future. Okay. Wow. Yeah, I should have noticed that. Cool. Okay, so what that probably means is different problems should now happen. Yay. Unexpected symbol. Fantastic. I must have done something wrong. Okay, so we're in tokens. 73. Oh yeah, that'll do it. No wonder that file name was red. Okay, so barter window. We've gotten past loading. Awesome. All of that looks great now. And we're getting into the barter window. So let's go ahead and yank out that debug statement that I just put in. And go check out barter window and see what is bugging it. Okay, so barter is indexed by these, okay. And line 73, we're iterating through. That's so weird. Bad argument number 1 to pairs got nil. Right, we're still dealing with a selected festival that's being loaded from the file which says festival. Okay, yes. So a festival's update settings. Great. Local festival name equals selected festival name equals settings festival. No, that's the number. So we need the data from that. And then we can say settings festival equals that selected festival name. Okay, so we knew that needed to be updated. Okay, well, let's see what else is wrong. Still expecting no. Let's trace through that a little bit. And you know what? Let's make ourselves feel better. I don't think anything's changed here, just in case. In fact, we can see the timestamp from last year. So that's fine. I wouldn't expect anything to change in these save files because the plugin has to actually finish loading in order for that to happen. Okay, barter window. Okay, so turbine.shell.writeLine, and let's figure out what is selected festival. Okay, we can see selected festival is 8. That's not good. So we need, we had some thoughts actually on this in our to-do file. So we need to update save file settings.festival from a number to a text and change how it's initialized. Okay, so let's come take a look at this. So settings.festival equals select festival, yeah. Select settings.festival. Let's come on into globals and look for festival. Yeah, so spring. We do need that. All right, the biggest problem now is the drop-down menu. Because we know the drop-down here. That string should be fine. But the item changed callback. And you know what? I'd love to not deal with this right now. So let's just see if it is getting called. We're going to go ahead and dump out select festival here as well. And this is main win, draw main win. And we want to go ahead and in the barter win, just highlight that one as well. Refresh barter list. Okay. So we can see we're getting barter win refresh barter list before we're doing the main window. Does that make sense? Probably. Let's see what order these are. Okay, we can see barter win there. We can see barter win happens before the main win. So sure, that makes sense. Let's actually get that same output here then, before we even get to draw windows. So this is in main. Draw windows, select a festival, go ahead and dump that out. Okay, so we can see, as far as main's concerned, this is still a problem. Settings.festival. We can see that that is a problem there. What's our version? Don't have a version, so that's fine. It'll get fixed. Okay, load settings file character happens here but I bet the selected festival happens before that. Load settings file character. Oh, hey. No, that's where we're supposed to be. So, you know what? Populate that global variable after we've finished updating the thing. Oh my goodness. Okay. Nope, still have a problem because I didn't save it. Oh, and it just works. Fantastic. Midsummer, 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 midsummer. Okay, we can see the dropdown is not currently working, but the plugin can load, and that's actually really big progress. Let's come in and take a look at our data. So, we already knew that for Wenda, for instance, we were seeing just just the festival names and not the numbers. And we were seeing for Schildwacht that Schildwacht was having the data converted, but then getting the numerical ones as well during the sort of the default data population. So what we want to see is we don't see those numbers anymore. Ooh. And we do not. We only see the new style of storing the data. That's actually really cool. And then in the settings file, let's see what we have there. In the quick guide to use, we have Midsummer, awesome, love it, Yule, and Illa, or Inley Gale Association, which is just a really long thing to type out repeatedly. And then the quick guide progress, we also have Midsummer, Yule, and Illa. Okay, so the data files look like we want them to. And if we load it again and unload, we can see that we did not go through an update process. Updating 1.1, no. What we are still getting is a bunch of debug statements. Let's go fix that up. Okay, so right line, all right. Okay, one of them is in main win. Kill that one. One of them is in barter win. We can kill that one. And one of them was in main. Draw windows. Great. So, if we load this again, we don't get anything. Awesome. So, the dropdown was a thing that we definitely knew was going to be a problem. So, let's take a look at that. Drop. Do we have notes? Let's come into the main window and look at drop-down festivals. And really, we want to find all the uses of this. Oh, that's meant to do. Okay, drop-down. We're making a new drop-down, and we're populating it with the text for the current festival. Seems fine so far. Parent position with, great. Items changed. Oh, we're passing festivals to this drop-down. Does it know what to do with that? A list. Oh, that's only for default label equals nil. Okay. What else does list do? If that's a table, then we're going to do a label. Populating dropdown. And let's go ahead and just do K. And B. Okay, let's grab this back out and load. Okay. Now, what I really wanted to do was only have that sometimes. So what we can do with that is in dropdown, we can just have a variable here, like drop down debug equals false, right? And we're gonna strip this all out when before we're done. And then we can say if drop down debug then end, and then we can just here say drop down debug equals true and drop down debug equals false. And that should let us see the output just from the drop down we care about. It did not. Why not? Of course, we have a table issue. Easy enough to bypass, and let's try that out. Really? Well, I was pretty sure it was going to work. It is not working, therefore we'll try something different. Or maybe it just turns out I don't even need it. Namespaces, man. I still need to wrap my head around them. Okay. So, we can see we have characters that are being populated. We have quests that are being populated. Awesome. We are not getting this for festivals. Okay, maybe it was working just fine. So we need to figure out what has changed. So festivals, okay, yes. It's just a local table. It's being populated for stuff here. Awesome. We want to insert into festivals the get string of V, which is here. I mean, that really feels like it should work. So turbine.shell inserting into festivals. And we're going to go ahead and type V, just so we know what we're dealing with, and get string of V as well. Oh, and I need drop down to stopped doing that. Okay, so we're not seeing that, which definitely means something's wrong with our assumptions now. Okay, we're going through iPairs. Is it just as simple as needing to go pairs? It sure is. Let's go ahead and do a search for iPairs real fast and check our assumptions on whether they are valid anymore. Okay, so iPairs on festival items, which is going into barter of a selected. Okay, those are all numerical. That's great. Number 1 done. Number 2, iPairs and lang debuffs of the selected festival. Those have numerical indices. We're good. Lang debuffs of E underneath that. That's fine. Lang debuffs of selected festival. Great. iPairs in locked messages. Presumably that works. iPairs in lang festivals. That's not going to work. Cool. iPairs. Oh, this is in add callback. I'm going to assume that's fine. Okay, iPairs of list. We're in dropdown. That's fine, because we're constructing a new one, and vendor patch, that's fine. Okay, I think those two are going to be very important to have caught. And we can see we now get all of our items in this dropdown. And these are all midsummer requests, so that's awesome. What we still needed to look at is the logic for populating the event handler for this. So we need to come back into main win, and we need to find DD festivals and item changed. So selected festival equals, and here's the problem. We need a way to map that, and we have one in globals, I think. And that's the festival's UI order. So we need to iterate through the festivals in UI order instead of iterating through these. So we do need do want I pairs here, but instead it's festivals UI order instead of laying festivals. And yep, it's okay. Cool. And then we're doing table insert into that get string off of lang.festivals of v. That sure seems plausible. Let's go ahead and make sure our debug statement actually tells us what we're trying to do. Okay, so inserting in festivals, 1 to spring, 2 to summer, 3 to harvest mass, 4 to Yule, and so on. Spring, summer, harvest, and Yule, ending with in-league gale association. That's better. We were seeing in-league gale association in the middle of things. Now it is better. Alright, big question, is that other I pairs actually masking a different problem? Where did the I pairs go? There it was. Yep, that was in fact masking an option. So in options win, instead of doing what we just did, we wanted to iterate through the I pairs of festival UI order. Cool. And now we can see Yule and then Midsummer and then in-league gale association. Okay, awesome. Okay, so just doing pairs there would have masked the underlying problem, which was that we were assuming we could get an ordering and then we couldn't. So we needed to switch to a different way of getting an ordering. Cool. Okay. Look at all uses of festival. When the dropdown is changed, we need to convert UI order to string key. That's what we're working on pretty much now. So we have an args.index, and what we really need is a local selected index equal args.index, and we need to convert it into something else. And so we have a selected index. We have globals here, festival UI order. So look, selected festival equals festival UI order. And in fact, we could do args index directly. We don't really need a selected index there. But selected festival should now be equal to if we select the sixth thing, it should be equal to whatever is here, which is the string farmer's fair. Okay, settings.festival equals that. Great. we can actually test that. Festival, we can see it's currently listed as Midsummer. So if we load this, and if we go to Summer, bad example, let's go to Harvest Math, and unload, we see a Festival got updated to Harvest Math. Awesome. So that part's working. What else? Args is not used anywhere else here. Great. Is DD Festivals used anywhere? Drop down, set item changed. We set text, playing festivals, that's probably fine. Sets the refresh the festival. And then args equal index equals festival. So here's the problem, is we have a festival. Refresh festival is taking a string, and we want to convert that into the index. And we don't have an easy counter lookup here, given, whatever. So a thing that we can just do is a lookup function. So we can just say local index equals 1 for, oh man, how do you do for loops in this silly language? I equals 1 to number of festival UI order, do end. If festival's UI order I equals festival, then index equals I end. Okay, so it'll be equal to 1. If it's something else and we find it, it'll be equal to that. And then we can go ahead and say index equals that instead. That's the refresh festival. Now, we might do well to test this by saying, where does this get called from? And refresh festival probably happens when we think we see that quest. Yep, when we get a new quest, and we think we should get that. So let's go ahead and switch. Look at Spring, and say disorientation. We're going to pretend that we just picked up the quest disorientation. So, orientation. We'll double check that we spelled it reasonably well. Awesome. And then we're going to go to another festival, say Yule, and we'll go ahead and accept this, and we can see things get loaded. Did everything get loaded? Yep, okay. Let's do it on something it's not spring, because that was the default value. So let's go to midsummer and say growing pains. Okay, so we're going to be accepting growing pains. So we're going to go ahead and move to a different festival completely, accept growing pains, and we can see, okay, midsummer is loaded, growing pains is loaded, we get our mini map showing locations. Awesome. So that is hopefully all of the problems that could come about with the drop down for festivals, was this indexes. So let's go take a look. So when the festival is need to convert UI order to string key, done. In fact, let's go ahead and do a quick little to-do file commit. To-do file changes. Okay, so we know that's done. Main 5 refresh festival. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. Oh, that's where we are. Was it just? Yep, that was what we just did. Awesome. Need to update the save file setting up festival. Yes, and how it's initialized. Done. Yep, that's good. All of these were great. All of these were great. This was fixed. Awesome. So, festival care data should be done. These should be done. So that's done. No known issues. No known issues. Awesome. I don't want to speak too forwardly, but I think that might have been all of the save file format things that we wanted to change, except for that whole maybe it should be a version 2 thing. So we're going to do that after we do some changes here. Okay, so we can see in our library, our drop-down library, we have deleted a blank line accidentally, don't care about that, and added a debug statement. We're just going to get rid of that. Okay, no changes to that library code. We can see we have this bug here fixed. Indices in v10 to v11 code. And in fact, this was before we even... Oh, where were they? Yep, this was before we made these changes here in this chronology. So this is a bug that happened during development, but was never committed into the repository, which is nice. Okay, so we're fixing these indices. Great. Okay, what other changes do we have? Updated default festival setting. But it feels really a part of other things. What's going on with stuff? Okay. Yep, that was this and this as well. You know what? We don't need that. Okay. I'm not a big fan of just white space changes on their own as part of a bigger change. Okay, so we have those, this, all of this. Any turbine statements in here? I don't think so. Okay, this was updating that, this. Let's go ahead and document why we just did that on main win. Okay, given the festival key, get the index, the UI index. There's probably just a bog standard function that says, given a value, get the key from a table. Sure seems like there should be if there's not. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get that. And all of this. Whew! Changed festival keys in data and save files from integers to string. Neat. So simple. I'm going to push that out in case lightning strikes my home computer. It'll be saved somewhere. Not that I'll be in a position to care, since I'm sitting right next to my home computer. But, you know, it's the principle of the thing. Okay, so call the new file format something better. I think that's a great idea. Let's go ahead and do that. So in these cases where we have, let's actually just find every instance of v11. Okay, so we want to go ahead and update these files. So we're renaming that to v20. And, nope, don't worry about it. Thank you, automated system. Okay, so v20. And we also want to check the same thing for 1.1 in just a moment. All right, 2.0. Man, that's almost hard to read that with that highlighting. 2.0, yep. You could do a find replace with this. It's such a small amount per line. I do want to check that each line makes sense, so that's why I'm bothering to do that. Okay, so version 1.1, settings version 1.1, we're going to 2.0. and the other one is 2.0. Whew. Okay, and let's just go ahead and also search for instances of 1.1 because that's probably wrong. Two 2.0 introduced there, updating 1.1 to 2.0. Okay, and that's definitely not correct. Or sorry, not something I'm looking to do anything about. All of those are coordinate strings. Great. Okay, so real question, does it work? So we go ahead and load our plugin, and it does seem to work. I'm going to go ahead and change a thing, change another thing, unload, reload. It's all there. Great. And unload again. That gives me some confidence that the changes I made didn't break anything, but I didn't actually go through the upgrade path. So we should do that as well. So this is unloaded. Awesome. Let's go ahead and bring in the old care data and the old settings file. Okay. Load that in. Hey! That didn't work. Attempt to call a thing from a thing. Okay, so we need to go to main.lua. This is why we test. Okay. Hey, the v11 stuff, I somehow didn't find it. Why not? V20, V20, V20. Fantastic. It might be a problem that I have like 3 different ways apparently to refer to file formats. Okay, also I see updating 1.0 to 2.0. That's pretty vague. Updating 1.0. Updating festival buddy to file save format from. To server level character file format. Server level characters data. Sure, that seems overly wordy. Also, we're not doing that anywhere else. And it seems like we should either do all of them or none of them, and I'm erring on the side of none of them. Just load it and be done with it. Okay. So, we have, let's go back to Harvest Math, let's go back to a walkthrough, unload, reload. We have what looks like a functioning festival buddy. We're coming up on the Spring Festival. There's almost certainly going to be new barter items, and one of the things that this plugin can do is show you the barter items for a festival. But that's not that's manually populated by a plugin developer. So that would be a thing that we could work on next week, is just going through and showing how to add these items. Okay, beyond that, I had some thoughts in my head about maybe reordering the festivals in here to actually match the way they appear during the year. And so if we were to load back up that LOTRO event schedule, I wonder if they all say the word festival. That would sure be nice. Spring festival, midsummer festival. Nope, anniversary comes there. Okay, so what I would like to do is actually order these things in a more reasonable. Oh, forgot these things. Let's go ahead and commit that before I finish my other thought. Okay. Okay. Changed file version from 1.1 to 2 because excuse me, because of all the changes. Okay, that was rename, and change those things. That was rename, and these all looked good. Okay. Um, you know what? I was thinking about doing a reordering on screen, but I'm also noticing that I'm well past my normal 2 hours. So I think what I'm going to do here is go ahead and commit these things, maybe muse a little bit on the reordering, and then call it a day on the stream. So if you have any last minute questions, comments, uh, and so on that you want to get into chat, let's do it pretty soon. And otherwise, hopefully we'll be able to address it next week. All right. So we've got those. And if I were looking at the default ordering that we had put together and our globals here, I would want to go ahead and maybe document some things. So spring, so 2024. Summer festival does not exist anymore. No longer exists. Combined with Midsummer, right? No, Farmer's Fair. Farmer's Fair. Okay. So I'd want to move that with Farmer's Fair. Let's take a look at what else. Harvest Math. Harvest Math. That's going to be here. Okay. Yule. Anniversary. Happy 17 years in April. Good thing our family visitors will be gone by then. Farmer's Fair in August. Okay. Hobnanigans is all over the place, so we're not gonna do anything with that at the moment. Midsummer. So what I would really like to do is just sort of musing at it. I would like Hobnanigans to go at the end with In-League Ale Association because they're both kind of floating in a sense that none of the others are. I would want Summer to go with, what did I say? Farmer's Fair. Because right now there's still some stuff under Summer. If you go to Summer, all these quests, they need to be moved under Farmer's Fair. And this was sort of the first step of being able to do that. Because we couldn't get rid of it in the UI ordering because of the way this was interconnected with all those save file formats. And now we can do that. Or, we can at least make progress on that. So, we can see Yule should be the last thing in the list. We can see spring here. Harvest Math should be later. Midsummer should be earlier. And so sort of a canonical by the calendar ordering would be spring anniversary, midsummer, farmer's fair, and what used to be summer, harvest math, Yule, and then Hobnanigans and ILA. So can we do that? I don't know. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's find out. So we're going to go ahead and unload. We're going to go ahead and load. And remembering that this is what we just said, but it'll be a little bit easier maybe in a smaller form factor. So let's go ahead and pull that out. So this is what we just said. Oh man, it's going to be on top of things. Well, all right, spring anniversary, midsummer. Spring anniversary, midsummer. Summer, farmers fair, harvest math, Yule, Hobnanigans, ILA. That's so beautiful. And if I, let's say, go to harvest math and I go on over to riddle in a bottle and go ahead and unload and reload, everything's still fine. Oops, no, I didn't mean to change that. I'm sorry. Riddle in a bottle. And if we go change the ordering in the UI, which again was the whole point of all of this, and put harvest math, let's say, first and spring 6th, it still works. Oh, it's so good. Harvest math is first. Spring is in the 6th position, as we just said, but because we've disconnected UI ordering from plugin data storage, it doesn't matter. If we go poke at those save files, yeah, the festival, we know it's harvest math right here. Selected, oops, oh, sorry, quest. Quest might be saved in here, and if it is, yep, a riddle in a bottle. And then in the server-wide stuff, if we go to Skillbox, under harvest math, we have all of our stuff. It's so good. I'm very pleased with this. Okay, so that was sort of the idea there. And if we go ahead and unload this and reload this, we still have harvest math riddle and bottle. Harvest math is somewhere else. And so that would be our sort of a canonical ordering of events. Is spring anniversary, midsummer, farmer's fair, harvest math, Yule, Hobnanigans. And one of the neat things about this is that you can just remove something from the list, like summer, ideally. Haven't tested this, don't know if it's going to work, but it should work. Why wouldn't it work? Of course it's going to work. But we can see now we have spring anniversary, midsummer, farmer's fair, harvest math, Yule, Hobnanigans in the association. That's few enough that you don't even need a scroll bar to show all of these. Oh, hello, cat. Right over there. However, I don't want to do that until I've had a chance to fold the quests that are underneath summer into harvest math. Yeah, Coldfish. I love it when Codeworks is inspected. I know, right? Like, there was the whole point of this was to be able to remove things and rearrange things, and we're on our way to getting rid of summer. Just like in real life. Maybe not. So that's the idea. I'm going to go ahead and put summer back for now. But that's the idea, is once the summer quests are moved over, and that's actually going to be its own updating thing because they're still stored under a summer section in the save file. So we're going to need a 2.0 to 2.1 where any summer progress things can be moved forward. If there are any. I'm not even sure there are. Really it'd be tokens and whatnot. Summer. Nope, not midsummer, just summer. Summer. So it'd be these tokens here, and the real question is, have those moved on to something else? They don't seem to. Yeah, so updating those so that they appear under whatever I just said, Farmer's Fair, would be good, because right now those fish don't show up here, and those are important fish. Neil says, never hit compile unless you're sure. Crash. That's the great thing about an interpreted language. I just load it, and then it crashes. Was it says the Grinch who stole summer? I gotta tell you, summer in the Netherlands is lovely most of the summer, and then you get like a month there where it's too warm, and then I would prefer it not to be summer. But you know, it's kind of like winter in the Netherlands. Winter in the Netherlands is very nice compared to some places I've been. A little wet if you're not a fan of it drizzling most every day, then maybe that's not fun. But yeah, other than that, it's fine. I've certainly been in colder and wetter places. But most of the winter is nice. Just a concentrated bit there in the middle, and just like summer. Okay, so yes, we'll need a 2.0 to 2.1. In fact, let's go ahead and set that into to do. Get rid of Summer Festival. And that's going to involve converting 2.0 to 2.1 save file. Convert summer tokens to Farmers Fair tokens. What else? Okay, now, fortunately, we have a little while until the next summer festival. But, I was also going to just go ahead and do some alignment of white space here, because okay, anything else? This is not my favorite format style from what they've got on the website, but it's going to be fine for tonight. I'm going to fix it later. I'm very much a fan of year, month, day, or day, month, year if you have to, or possibly day and month spelled out and year. You know, things that are a little less ambiguous. Like 6/6, okay, that's fine. Most of these are pretty unambiguous. But if you ever have like a 3/4 or a 4/1, like that's the 4th of January for a lot of people. So that doesn't work. Okay. Neat. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and commit that. It's probably good. Reordered festivals to match appearance in calendar year. In fact, that thing goes in the README. Okay, README festivals. And then other updated how festival buddy to save files and store data. Files will be automatically updated when FB2 loads. I probably missed some other stuff, so when we do the release, we'll go through and check for anything else that we've missed here. But that's sort of a one-line thing that encapsulates weeks of work. So, yeah, that's the nature of things. And then reorder festivals to match appearance in calendar year. It's also one line, and that was like, 30 seconds of work. So these are not fair. Okay, so that's that. So we have this, and we have this, and we have that. Awesome. Such good progress. Cool. Well, I think Schildbach and I will leave it there. Thank you so much, everyone who was along and chatting along or just watching in silence. I appreciate you either way. Okay. Let's see, anything else? I think that's it. All right. I hear daylight saving time is coming up. If you are in a part of the United States that observes daylight saving time, remember that this coming Sunday is it for you. Your clock will change. If you're in one of those parts of the U.S. that does not follow daylight savings times, good job. I hope the rest of it follows suit. And if you're in one of those parts that is inside of another part, and each of them doing different things, then I just hope you have a way to keep it all clear in your head. Because my goodness. Okay. For those of us in Europe, our daylight saving time happens towards the end of the month, and so for a couple of weeks, we'll be an hour closer to the U.S. But Little Redhead and I make our streaming time based off of server time, which is Eastern U.S. time. And so if you are used to seeing us from a U.S. perspective, it'll be the same time for you. Anyone who's tuning in from Europe, it'll be an hour earlier, I believe, for you. But we'll also be posting on Blue Sky and Twitter when we're about to stream anyway. Cool. With that, that is everything we're going to cover today. Thank you so much for joining me on this exploration of LOTRO plugins. I do hope to see you all here next week, and until then, keep plugging along. All right, bye-bye now.